So I'm delighted to facilitate this session today with some of Incipio's and Oracle's customers as they talk about transitioning to an integrated supply chain. But before I welcome them onto the stage, I'd like to just share a perspective around what we at Incipio refer to as an integrated supply chain. And I thought I'd take a sporting analogy, and given what's about to come in the next few days, chose football. And if you take a look at football as an example, there's really 4 different sets of integrated supply chains that are operating, from the event to the athletes to the venue to the equipment. And I could talk all day long around the complexities that are occurring as you look at each of those individual sets of supply chains that operate to bring you a match day performance. So let's break that down a little in terms of context from a business perspective. So we conducted a study in the last few months. We've worked with hundreds of different customers around the world, and we got 200 executives to share their insights. And with this, we built this model to look at what we see within truly integrated supply chains. So the first tenet, extended enterprise, that's really collaborating internally and externally to foster value-driven networks. Number 2, agile, being able to connect to customers, suppliers, carriers, partners quickly and respond to market changes and customer changes. 3, innovative. So driving innovation end to end, but not just in products and services, but in people, process, and technology. Number 4, sustainable. Developing products in an efficient manner that ensures highest levels of quality, but reducing waste and impact on the environment. And number 5, digital, something we've been listening to for over the last 24 hours, leveraging technology to connect people and machines with each other or information. So when we conducted the study, 3 key themes came out. The first one, we asked, what was the obstacle to achieving an integrated supply chain? Number 1, integration. Systems and tools continue to be the number 1 obstacle. 71% still relying on manual tools, yet with only 3% saying they had extensive connectivity. Number 2, sustainability. Top priority, 85% see it as a top priority, only 9% see it as a company strength. And this is no longer just about cost efficiencies of being sustainable. There's a dramatic impact for getting it wrong. You only have to look at Volkswagen and their emissions. That's cost the company to date $30 billion. And number 3, digital. So when we conducted the study, 71% believed it was a key business imperative. Only 6% believe it's a core company strength. And even more surprising, many companies still didn't have a digital strategy. So what are the benefits? So just quickly going through it, an agile integrated supply chain, companies can enjoy faster time to market, higher quality products. Companies with integrated supply chains outperform their competitors in the marketplace. There's reduced risks by anticipating the demands that are coming from regulatory and market. And then finally, the value of all of those combined drives increased shareholder value. So with that kind of short context around integrated supply chain, what I'd like to do is welcome up the panel, and we'll start with a video from one of the first companies, Incipio Group, to tell you a little about what they do. Many may not have heard the company name, but I'm sure once you see the video, you'll be familiar with their products. If we can roll the video, please. So welcome, thanks for joining us here today. So Jason Schwartz, Chief Operating Officer of Incipio Technologies. Would you like to give a quick introduction and maybe share a key insight of what's going on at Incipio at the moment with your transformation?
Absolutely. I'm Jason Schwartz, as Mo said, Chief Operating Officer of Incipio Group. My role on this transformation process is to create leadership on the project, as well as to create our long-term vision of our supply chain roadmap. Give me a little bit of insights into what we're going through right now. As you can see from the video, we have multiple brands that are underneath our umbrella. Several of these came through acquisitions. So due to this, we have multiple ERPs that we're currently running. We have 2 instances of NetSuite, 1 instance of JDE, a whole host of spreadsheets that we use, as well as some intercompany transfers, try to make this entire process work day to day. We're looking to take have a corporate restructuring in which we change our business processes, reorganize to have one unified group, but also most importantly is to consolidate these 3 ERPs onto a single instance of Oracle Cloud.
Okay, so an interesting consolidation that we're going to get into in a little bit, so thanks for that, Jason. So next, I'd like to run a clip of Nhadi Medical, and we'll introduce Dr. Khalid after the video. So welcome, Dr. Khalid. Thanks for traveling over all the way from Saudi Arabia to be here with us today. Would you like to just give a quick intro and an insight from what's going on in Nhadi Medical?
Thank you, Mo. So, good morning, everybody. I'm Khalid Tadlawi. I'm the IT VP for Nhadi. Some words about my role. I've been over the last 4 or 5 years helping in developing transformation roadmap for the company, and that transformation roadmap is basically twofold. One was about addressing core processes for the business, so the core ERP processes, if I can say so. And on the other hand, I had to also work on customer-facing systems, and this is a faster pace kind of transformation. So that's what I has been busy doing over these last 4 or 5 years.
Okay, that's great. So this omni-channel demand, and what I noticed in your video, you refer to your customers as guests. So
yes,
a very unique way of looking at your customers. Okay, great. And last but not least, I'd like to roll a clip of HWI. For those of you who may not know what a refractory is, you're about to find out.
Some endeavors put materials to the test. Large impact blasts, challenging ventures in corrosive environments, and important high-temperature undertakings. One type of material consistently makes the grade: refractories. HarbisonWalker International is North America's and one of the world's largest producers of these amazing products. Refractories are heat-resistant ceramic materials that can withstand mechanical abuse and chemical erosion at very high temperatures. More heat-resistant than metal, refractories are essential to the production of iron and steel. Able to withstand chemical corrosion, they are must-haves in glass and aluminum manufacture. These stalwart materials are indispensable to the manufacture of things we use every day. Whether the use is in a power plant, steel foundry, aluminum smelter, chemical refinery, paper mill, glass work, or consumer product, HWI Refractories take the heat.
So welcome, Elizabeth McGuire. Thanks for being with us today. Quick intro again and something that you share an insight around what's going on at HWI, please.
Thank you very much, Mo. Yes, my name is Elizabeth McGuire, and I am the Director of Global Sales and Inventory Operations Planning for HarbisonWalker. My role within our organization is to develop and define what our global supply chain strategy is going to be and to work with our corporate IT organization on how the technology portion of our business is going to interface with our manufacturing processes in our vertically integrated supply chain.
Great, excellent. So we haven't got much time, so we'll just get right into it. A lot of growth going on, Jason, in your company. You're pushing very hard in a number of areas. If you could probably perhaps explain a little bit about what's forcing you to get there, what's driving the organization right now.
Sure. We've had tremendous growth over the past 5 years, both organically in the industry and as a whole is growing, but also inorganically through our acquisitions. This has increased the complexity level of our supply chain, which has really pushed us to have a more agile supply chain than we have today. I'll give you an example as to why and some of the challenges we have. One of our largest categories is cell phone cases. Our largest form factor is for the iPhone. We generally know that Apple is going to release an iPhone in September. They make an announcement, and generally 2 weeks later they have it in store. This year, however, the iPhone X was pushed till November, so it's a bit like telling some people in the similar industry that Christmas moved to February. So we have to put together a forecast and deliver our products in store in all of our channels at the time of launch to a date that we're not sure when it's going to launch. We don't know the form factor. We don't know exactly what the phone's going to look like. We find out the same time as everybody else. But we have to build a predictive model that determines what products to put into what channel and try to figure out what's going to sell. And at the same time, respond to changes in demand. So we have demand signals from our customers. We'll get their forecast, which changes what our supply positioning will be. We get their firm orders, which again changes it. And then most importantly, we get point of sale data. Once we get what is actually selling, then we have to quickly respond back to which products are selling where, change our supply positioning within our factories of what's being made, but also changing our global inventory positioning, because some products that we thought would sell well in North America are actually selling well in Asia, or they're selling well in the Middle East, and we have to move inventory around globally so as not to create too much additional inventory beyond what we can sell. And again, trying to do that in 3 ERPs and some spreadsheets has proven a challenge. So that's why we've pushed ourselves through this transformation process.
And so just to reiterate, what you are actually saying is you find out about the new products that, say, Apple is producing at the same time we do.
We do.
And you have to react and get
Yes.
your products out there.
Yeah, and we don't know, we also don't know how many Apple's going to make, where they're going to put it into the channels. If they're just going to put it into their own, they're going to give it out to the mass market retailers. They're going to put more on Amazon. We have to guess all this information based upon our historical data and what we're hearing from the market. But as far as exactly what it looks like, no, we don't know till the day they announce it. And we just hope the 4 million plus units that we made prior to that time actually work.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Dr. Khalid, from your side, there's been quite a digital transformation going on at Nhadi Medical. Would you like to share what you've been doing there and what are the reasons for going into that?
So I'd like to share with you our experience on our journey to omni-channel or to e-commerce. So we are a chain of pharmacies, more than 1,000 stores, and relying on trusted pharmacists. So when we looked at e-commerce, it could not be something that is away from those assets. So basically our key and strongest assets in the company are our people first, so trusted professionals, and second, our network of stores. So almost in 130 cities and villages across the kingdom. So our challenge was to, like, how to build this digital and online presence, leveraging these two assets. So we had to come up with a specific omni-channel strategy that will, from online to offline, if I may say so, that will leverage those two assets, and that would, at the same time, satisfy the needs and the expectations of our guests. So that was the challenge. So when we say that, we have, of course, to deal with availability. So availability is, for us, the first moment of truth. So when a guest comes into the store, the first moment of truth is when he finds the product at the right time, in the right place. The second moment of truth is the service and the consultation he's getting in our business. So all what we did with the solutions, a mix of on-premise solutions and cloud solutions, was to reach to a level where we could, in an optimal manner, satisfy those guests and leverage those assets. And at the same time, of course, you know, we are talking now about millennials more and more. So this new generation are looking for products online, and then they might come to the store. And so we had to work on that front, make sure that we provide them with the right visibility on the availability of product, right choice, right advice, and then make sure that either when they come to the store or when they order online, we fulfill our promise and we deliver and provide the expected availability. So this is the...
Okay, thanks, Dr. Khalid. And Elizabeth, why is an integrated supply chain so important to HWI, and how's cloud helping you with that?
So an integrated supply chain for HWI is significantly important because of the length of our supply chain. Unlike a lot of people's supply chains, ours actually goes back to the mines, where we're actually mining material out of the ground, bringing that in, transforming that material into materials that we put into other products, and then we're staging that material for our upstream customers. And our supply chain, from an integration perspective, goes out all the way into our customer base, where we're managing their inventory, we're providing the services for them to be able to keep their production facilities up and running. And if we run into problems within our backward supply chain, then we have a definite impact on their customers and customers further downstream. So moving to the cloud, what it's going to help us to be able to do is be able to integrate all of those different downstream to upstream processes and be able to use predictive indicators to be able to better manage our inventory position and be able to have that product available for our customers, whether it's in a raw material perspective or whether it's in a finished goods perspective.
And you have a different range of products that you stock, but there's also a lot of project-based demand that you have to be
That is
thinking
correct.
about.
So about half of our business is a make-to-stock part of our business, but the other half of our business is based off of actual project manufacturing. Our customers have their furnaces go to failure, and they will redesign what those furnaces are going to look like after they fail so that they can improve what their cycle times are in their operations. And by feeding that information back to us, we have to have a very agile supply chain that can turn their products around very quickly to them, because the longer they're down, the less money they're making, and they need to be back up and running as quick as possible.
Okay, that's interesting. And Jason, talking about agile, so what drove the decision to move into cloud and have that technology enable your business processes? Was it a business-led decision, an IT decision? How did you arrive to it?
That's a good question. My background, I'm used to having an on-prem solution, which you have to buy a bunch of databases, have a bunch of DBAs, be constantly patching, working on SRs. I've implemented Oracle EBS, obviously, in the past. For us, we just don't have that staff. We don't have the IT group, we don't have the infrastructure available, but really we did want to have a powerful solution. So we looked at what was available to us. We're currently running NetSuite, and it's a good enough system. It would probably last us another year or two, but the growth that we're looking at, that we're projecting for years 3 through 5, we really wouldn't be able to get the type of technology behind us and have the agility that we need to really hit our growth targets. So we looked at Oracle Cloud just because it's a much lower cost and faster implementation. The speed to bring it up is significantly better than an on-prem solution. We don't have to invest much in things in the back office. We don't have to bring on a large IT staff, and really we didn't have the budget to be able to do that, but we still wanted the horsepower that goes along with having a major package like Oracle.
Right, so you can be nimble, agile, and you're playing the long game about what's going to come down the road in a few years' time.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason to make two changes. You know, we had to consolidate our businesses onto a single platform. Running 3 ERPs is really painful and very costly for us, and we're really losing a competitive advantage by doing it. For us to consolidate onto another platform and then have to move up in another 2 to 3 years, it just didn't make time and sense. It's a pretty difficult process for your employees to go through.
Right.
And to make this change, we really only want to do it once.
Okay, and Dr. Khalid, you know, obviously having worked in IT for so many years, what are you seeing as the big differences between deploying cloud-based applications versus on-prem?
Yeah, so for me, the key difference is speed to market, obviously. So this is definitely the time it will take for any module or any area to implement on-prem versus on cloud. There is definitely a clear, so cloud is a lot faster, definitely. That's on one side. One other something we've heard in this previous session is also the best practice and the standards. So on cloud, when you go into cloud, you have to go there with the mindset that you will be adopting best practices. So, and they are good enough actually to serve most of the requirements. So this is the second point. The third point in terms of change or change management. So adoption of cloud applications require also maybe a different way, a different approach to change management. So you are not, let's say, in control of everything. So you have to make your employees and your colleagues prepared for that kind of change. So primarily the users, the end users for these technologies, but also the IT people. Their role is also changing. They are no longer, as we've heard in the previous session, their role is no longer to maintain systems and to upgrade systems. They are more now into a business process owner. They own specific processes within the business, and that's how they should start looking at their role.
Okay.
So,
and Elizabeth, from your perspective, so you've heard from Dr. Khalid there, speed, best practice, change management. Anything different you'd add from HWI? And probably I think what we were talking about earlier is you're kind of going through this big bang approach. Maybe you also want to share a little bit about the approach you guys are taking on this.
Sure. So we're currently version locked with the ERP system that we're on today. And in designing and defining what we were going to do to move forward in our transformation, we recognized that we, much like my colleagues, couldn't go through and do multiple iterations all at one time. And so we're actually going through a big bang with over 150 different orgs in our organization, which is significant for a manufacturing organization to take that big bang approach. But what we've identified is that it will save us time and cost and energy to be able to make that transition and to help our entire organization work through the changes. We're 150 years old this year, and so that has made the transformation even that much more challenging because we have very senior level people within our organization aging from anywhere from 30 to 40 years within our organization. And so this transformation is one of the biggest ones they've been through, and it was important for us that we were successful in being able to communicate that throughout our entire organization and have these people as key members of our change panels.
Okay, and as you've gone through it, any lessons learned, any things that you could share with, with the audience that would help them?
The biggest lesson that we've learned throughout all of this is to make sure that as an executive team, we had a good plan and that we knew where we wanted to go before we started the journey, and that we really vetted things out from an executive level to be able to understand what the changes were cross-functionally across the organization, and to be able to continue to communicate that not just within the executive level, but all the way down to the shop floor.
Okay, so right from the top to the bottom.
That's correct.
Good. And Dr. Khalid, anything from your side, any tips or tricks that people should be thinking about when they're moving to Oracle Cloud?
Yeah, I would maybe insist on the change management and the proper, really selling the benefits of going cloud, and being able maybe to benefit from innovations faster. Maybe from an implementation standpoint, the methodology for cloud implementations is a bit different. It's a shorter cycles, so you don't go into a product design phase and you get the product at the end and then you test the product. It's shorter cycles, which is really good because you get to know about what you are going to get early enough. So you can adapt, you can change, and that's also something that this cloud implementation methodology allows you to do.
So change management, shorter sprints,
yes.
that continuous
yes, exactly.
improvement. Jason, anything else that you would add on there?
No, I think what Elizabeth said was dead on. Just make sure you have a vision of where you want your end state to be. If you don't have that vision, there's a lot of paths that a transformation can take you, and you might not like the place that you end up if you don't have that. And I think also, probably just as important is, your vision is a long-term plan. It's a journey that you're going to go on. Make sure you create multiple short-term projects that you can close out, get some quick wins. It garnishes you some goodwill throughout the organization and gets additional buy-in from cross-functional teams so that you can go on and keep going along your journey. If you try to bite off too much immediately, you can easily fail or at least stumble, and your transformational process could lose steam and you might not be able to see it through the end.
Great, thanks, Jason. So, we come towards the end of the time, and I think what you've heard in a very short space of time, 3 different companies and 3 different industries. You've got Incipio taking a consolidation approach and deploying Oracle Cloud, Nhadi Medical, which is kind of operating from the edge and slowly changing piece by piece, HWI, a very complex supply chain also, with more of a big bang approach. I'm sure that we could have spent a lot longer talking about this. Jason, Dr. Khalid, and Elizabeth will be around if you want to talk to them. If anybody's interested in the integrated supply chain research study, just drop by the Inspirage booth. But other than that, I'd just like to thank our guests for joining us today and sharing their perspectives with the audience.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you very much.